welcome back to Brupeg. Previously, we poured Chockfast, which...
Coming out the end, it's coming out the end,
Oh, stop.
And that's not really ideal, so we decided to... walk away from these back mounts. I think we start again. And start again we did. Time to get some Chockfast into these mounts, but to do that we have to rip the front mount out. So, I'm using the 1 grit sander. We're going to gently, delicately take this guy out. When I say take him out, I don't mean in like a mafia way. Well, I kind of do. Brupeg was a sunken fishing trawler that was stripped out and ready for the scrapyard. She's just completed a 10-year rebuild that's brought her back to life. With the help of volunteers and funded by our Patreons, community and subscribers, she'll be crewed by passionate people from around the world. If you'd like to be involved and support the project, please consider joining us on Patreon or subscribe to the channel. There's a link in the description below. You might be asking, why are we ripping out a perfectly good Chockfast mount? Well, when we put the boat in the water, we realigned the engine. We had to move the front of the engine, therefore this mount is no longer accurate.
To do sea trials, we do need the engine to not wiggle off its beds, so we do need to sort these mounts out. Poor dame, took a while.
So I've ripped concrete from this boat on multiple occasions, out of the cofferdam, out of the bow, and not once has the 1 grit sander faulted. I've never found something that it can't chop through, except Chockfast. I've sharpened the chisel so that it's a fine chopping point to try and drive in there and get it. I tried cutting it with this, and all I did was burn the actual teeth off the blade. This is like a high-speed steel blade, bimetal blade, and it just melted the teeth. This stuff is unbelievable. So if you're ever wondering how strong this is for engine mounts... Okay, I found something that works. A cold chisel and a hammer and a bloody good swipe at this stuff. It comes off in small chunks, but it comes off. I need more room. I've made a couple of modifications to the what was 1.5 inch wide blade on this. See if it makes a difference. Okay, it's made that drill blunt. As you can imagine, this went on for quite some time.
So we got on with other jobs.
Today is Sunday, so we can't get the right screws to actually mount it in. But that will do until we can actually screw it in. But I'm gonna mount our digital compass that will give Brunette the true heading of the boat.
To do this, Burke follows the same process that we do for all of our electronics up here. If we ever need to put anything in or out of this mast, we can just take the stainless lid off the top of our radar mast. The stainless lid holds our Starlink antenna, our large VHF antenna, and also 2 navigation lights. We can take that lid off and then have access to the inside to feed any cables down into the mast and therefore down into the wheelhouse. I've learned a very important lesson doing this. Don't pour your Chockfast with the thought that you could drill through it as if it's normal epoxy. This is not normal epoxy. This is titanium, uranium, nuclear infused, cement based epoxy, as far as I can tell from my non-chemist analysis. I'm looking at all the various tools that I used. The only thing that really worked was the cold chisel and the hammer, but it's too awkward to actually get in there. That's why I needed to swap over back to tools. If you ever had any doubt as to how strong this stuff is, I think we could probably demonstrate that that's no longer a valid concern. That's where I got to so far. So you can kind of actually see the layout of this mount. So you got your hole here and a hole here that bolts the engine down, and then you've got this adjuster screw, which is that guy just there. That screws up and down, moves the engine up and down, and the Chockfast just essentially fills up the gap in between everything. So I need to get it back so we've got these bolt holes clear. I'm actually going to make the mount slightly bigger, like the Chockfast size of the Chockfast footing bigger. You can see on the back we've got plenty of room. It's it's a reasonable size at the back, but the front I wasn't overly happy with, so I'm kind of glad that we're going to be doing it again, so we'll extend it out a bit further. That's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. Devilishly early in the morning, so we're not going to be doing hammer drilling on that front mount just yet to try and clear that front away, but what we are going to do is start prepping for our engine mount pour, so the moulds and everything like that. So down here, same deal as last time. We've got basically a mould to build around the edge of our mounts and so on. We've got a stack of different options. We're going to be trying something very different compared to what we did last time. Last time we used aluminium and silicon. Now we're going to be using a whole bunch of different options. The first step of doing the mould pouring is obviously check the alignment. So we're just going through and just double checking everything's still where it needs to be. And then we're going to start building our mounts once we're happy that this is good to go. The alignment right now is sitting within 0.2 of a millimeter, so 1/5 of a millimeter. It's not good enough to bolt up, but it's good enough that we can start looking at our dams and things like that. So we're not going to be making the dams, we're just going to be prepping for them, so getting all the silicon and the sides and everything built and so on, so that when we have aligned we could just put them straight in and then start water testing. We're going to put some food colouring in some water and then pour it into the actual dams themselves and then see if we can see it leaking. We'll do that for a couple of hours. If it passes that test, then we're going to pour the Chockfast. Problem area that we had last time was right down in this sort of area of the mount all the way along was really hard to seal. We've got this foam, which is a circular profile foam. What we're thinking is we're going to jam that between the beds and the mounts. You might be able to just see that down there, that mount there and the bed just there. We're going to jam it in that gap all the way along. We're going to sort of stuff it down somehow, maybe get a screwdriver in there and stuff it down. And then we're going to put silicon. We've got heaps of silicon. We're going to make a mould over top of that so that essentially there's no way that it can leak. So this is holding the silicon and the silicon is holding the Chockfast. Should we have a go at getting it in?
Yep. So glad we bought the stuff with the curl in it.
Yeah. So that's sort of tucked down. Yeah, we're going to light at this end, and then if we put the camera down, sort of see this rubber, that rubber there, extending all the way down. That was the hardest bit, was trying to figure out how to block up that piece between the hull and the gearbox mount. So that we could get the silicon right up into that joint, we put a piece of flexible pipe over top of the silicon gun like this, and that allowed us to be able to try and direct it right at the back without getting silicon where the mount was going to be. Once we had the silicon in, it was time to then try and radius it, so we got a piece of stiff plastic pipe and we pushed it hard into the corner and then pulled it along, and that gave us a nice radius to work with. Right, time to sing some country and do some hammer drilling. Speak out in lies, baby, that just sounds absurd. And if you want me to go out, and just like that, I noticed the whole thing was starting to move, which I thought, hey, that can only mean one thing. And turns out we were able to take it out as one massive block. It came out pretty easy in the end. It basically broke where there was paint on that surface. Another good reason not to have paint when you've got mounting surfaces. However, it's nice and clear now, so we need to go in and align the engine properly. Once that's done, then we can start building up our dams and get this Chockfast poured in. Because it worked really well as a release agent last time, I'm going to be using anti-seize on these bolts again. It embeds inside the thread, and then we can undo these bolts later if we ever need to. It doesn't bond to the Chockfast. Now that we've got this reassembled, we've got our sideways adjuster bolts, and then we've got our vertical adjuster bolt down there. We've pretty much cleared out everything underneath in terms of Chockfast. The back end, it's the same deal. We've got our adjuster at the back. You can see that bolt just, where is it, there somewhere. And we've got the silicon glued at the corner down here, so this is starting to tack up quite nicely now. What we need to do is go through and make sure the alignment is spot on. As it sits right now, the engine alignment is within 0.2 of a millimeter, so 20% of a millimeter, a fifth of a millimeter, that sort of thing. So it's close enough that we could have started doing the molds and everything, but we want to get it close. We've had it much better than that, so we want to actually make sure that we can get it as good as we possibly can before we set these molds. The silicon that we put in, we found a couple of holes. On this side here, we've done a second layer. We're pretty sure this side here is going to be okay, but we won't know until we put the water test in. We found there is a pinhole there, but we think it might just be sitting on top of the foam. We don't think it's sort of going all the way through.
Jess is just shedding some light on it.
So, looking at the mirror, you can kind of see that back wall there, and It's very, very difficult to see, but we think we'll be okay.
So it's on the back wall, not through the rubber underneath.
So we'll water test, and if there's a leak around there, we'll know which.
Yep.
So we're pretty much at the end of doing mounts until we get the alignment right. So once the alignment is done, then we can go and carry on building the rest of the dam. So Duncan has written a paper on our dam. We're using core flute, like real estate sign. We're going to be lining it on the inside, the side that sees the Chockfast. We're going to be lining it with packaging tape. We've got brown stuff and we've got the clear stuff. Either way, apparently that stuff works as a fantastic mould release. So our plan is to line this with the tape and then start bending that into the shape and then sickering it down with like a silicone adhesive all the way around to make sure that we've got no holes around that joint.
Why use that?
The core flute, I think just because it's kind of quite stiff and it's kind of rigid enough.
And you can cut one side and you can bend it, right?
So yeah, we can basically slice the outside of a bend and then the inside stays with no join, so therefore you end up with basically no way for it to leak through. So yeah, it's
We shot close up of the little
the corrugations.
joints might, be a leak. And the less joins, the less leak possibility. We're all a little bit stressed about this because we don't want to over the side.
So we got to aligning the engine. We climbed down into our uncomfortable positions and started spinning the motor over and over with the dial gauge to make sure that we're absolutely bang on for our centre to centre alignment, and then our feeler gauges to make sure our face to face alignment was correct as well. Feeler gauges are good, which is normally the hardest test. So now we're going to go back, spin the engine one last time. It's probably going to be out, but we're going to spin the engine and get the centre to centre alignment back being perfect. Whenever we muck around with that front, it always changes the flange, the heights of the two flanges, so we have to double check everything. Once you do one alteration, you have to recheck everything. So we're back to the dial gauge. So we've got it measuring the same with the feeler gauge top, bottom, side to side, and that there is how close we've got it. 0 here, 0 down the bottom there. So 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock is 0, 3 o'clock is 0.01 millimeters. I don't know, third of a thou, something like that for imperial. And then with feeler gauges, wherever they've gone, these guys over there, we've been able to get it completely even, so we're less than a thou. It's basically down to the subjectivity of the feel, top and bottom, so it's less than a thou. So I'm pretty happy with that. We have a tag team release agent department over here.
The downside with the clear stuff, actually can't see the edge.
Well, I had a thought, why don't we overlap it in case we get goo seeping up the holes?
Is that a problem?
I don't know.
I thought about that, but I thought, well, actually, we want the silicone to hold under there, don't we?
Oh, good point. So it gives you an idea. We've got one layer of 50mm tape, which the mounts are only about 35mm, 30mm, something like that. So we should be plenty good with a single layer. And then Dunk's got a wide one over here.
Put the chips down there.
Yeah, Dunk's got a wide one with 2 layers on, and his thesis.
Yeah, thought I'd put the thesis on there.
The teletyper.
Teletype test.
I keep thinking Teletubby.
The old teletype test message was the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Yes, the 0 is at the front. I had to check that. So that little phrase has every letter of the alphabet and, of course, every digit. So there, today's trivia.
Okay.
Ooh.
So phase 1, we've basically got it just sitting on silicone to like glue down. Once it's sort of holding its own weight and everything, we'll go around, we'll start filling like big radiuses all the way around just to make sure it's fully filled up. So now we had a rough idea as to how to build these things. We had to go at mount number 2. We've done a nice vertical up weld here, obviously following the correct welding pattern. And then over this side, because it's set slightly better, we had a hole down here, so I've gummed it up with silicone. So I think we've blocked that side up enough. We won't know until we water test, but we've got to do the same on this one here once this one's kicked a little bit more. Front one, we've made our dam. It's pretty straightforward, but where it previously used to sit up on the engine bed like that, we're actually going to glue it to the front so that we've got a wee bit more engine Chockfast in front of the actual mount. So you can see there'll be about maybe 10mm, 3/8 of an inch, something like that in the front. And then on the back, we have one that's going to clonk straight up the back here. We don't need to go as far back as we did last time. That was a bit of an error. So we're going to go further forward like that. It's actually going to glue up against like that. So it'll come quite a way up the feet and it's about maybe 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of the feet to the back of this mount, so there's plenty of backward strength in this as well. So our front dam is now built. I'd say this front one's almost ready to water test, isn't it?
No reason why not.
Yeah. I can put my finger in there and I can feel the holes. We need to just gum that up before we do any water testing. It's an awkward angle with this side, eh? The floorboards are wider on this side. Great. So we've got food colouring. It's actually pink food colouring, but we've kind of gone nuclear on it and it's now red food colouring. The plan, get some in here and see if we can find some leaks.
That's probably
Alright.
bothered.
Yeah, okay, we're leaking outside, but we've gone too high, so that's okay. Can I have the torch? Can I have the torch on? Where's that leak from? We have a leak, but I don't quite know what that is from. So we'll just dry it off.
It's coming from up high. Oh no.
Yeah, it's right out of that corner there.
Right.
We can sign this front mount off now that we know the one leak has now been fixed. Time to give this back mount a go. So this one here is leaking out around this corner over here, and it's possible there's a couple of other leaks along this back sort of joint. So we're not leaking anywhere around this. We know this dam around the side and everything's working, so we're going to rip this dam off on the outside and have another go at sealing up that far side, and then we'll put this back on. So that was the port mount. Now we're on to the starboard mount to see if we can find any leaks on this side. Yep, leaking out this corner already. Bucket loads of leaks. Holy shit. Yeah, pissing out. Righto, armed with scrapers, today's job is to get rid of all of the black silicone that we put in yesterday so that we can have another go at putting black silicone in today. One cleaned off. On to the next. We've got a different design layout that we want to try. I'll walk you through it. The problem we have is we're trying to seal this area back here, which is off the mount. If we had a relatively narrow bearing, we've got more than enough compressive strength. We did the calculations on this. How much compressive strength can we put on this one pad of Chockfast if we were to take it from the edge of this mount to the edge of this mount? So about 80 mil roughly. I think it's 43 centimeters long. I can't remember the length of it at the moment. But we did the calculations. That piece of Chockfast can handle 24 tons continuously, or quite a bit higher than that if you intermittent load it. So we've got another one over there. So between the gearbox, the two mounts on the gearbox alone, we could literally rest the entire weight of Brupeg on those mounts and it would be within the safe working limit of the Chockfast. And the front can handle 7 ton on its own. So between the whole lot, we've got 55 ton of weight bearing capacity. So we're absolutely massively over engineered. We've got some core flute. We're going to slide it down the back here so it sits about there in this area here. It's a bit difficult to show you, but it'll sit basically about there all the way and work all the way along. I'm going to pack this back end up with silicone just so that we can essentially use it as a void filler, and we're going to just leave this in. So this is going to become part of the forever mount. It's not going to be as pretty as we would have liked, but this is going to definitely happen today. We're sick and tired of not having the engine bolted down, and if this has to be part of the mount, so be it.
That little bit sticking out, it'll join onto the dam when the rest of the dam gets built.
So the dam will come around the front like that.
Yep, for the pouring dam. So these are our first go straightening up that inner wall. You can see right through to the other end, and it looks like it's square and it's uniform all the way through.
So we're struggling using this long tube. We basically fed it all the way along and then started pumping silicone in and then pulling out as we go. So we're using, at the moment, we're using Fixtech 190, FX 190, and we're squirting and pulling at the same time to basically leave a trail of adhesive. But we've got way too much internal resistance with this tube thing that we're using, and it just keeps blowing off this little adapter that we built. Very, very difficult to get it to feed out. So we're going to, hopefully we've basically glued it. We don't think we've sealed it. We've probably glued it at least. And then what we're thinking is see if we can run a bead up top and bottom to seal it in that orientation. So now that we've got the other side sort of set, we're going to try and have a go at this side here. However, we're not going to try and do the long piece of tube because there's too much internal resistance. What we're going to do, we're taking the floorboards up so we can get this gun and just try and feed it straight in and put lumps of silicone in there and then we're going to put the core flute in. So we've got one side done, we've got the core flute in. We had to, really hard to show you on camera, but we had to basically squeeze sealant along the edge and then smear it with our fingers. We actually put the sealant in with a welding rod, which sounds weird, but it worked. First step is give everything a blimmin' good brake clean so we know we're working with a clean surface, and then blow it all off with the air. Then we take a piece of welding filler rod and we gently slide it along, at the same time putting silicone on top of the welding rod. That allows us to then angle it underneath the mount. We have to be incredibly careful here so that we don't get any on the surfaces needed for the Chockfast. Luckily we managed to be able to keep it clean enough, and we also, anywhere we did have a bump or a touch, we were able to just wipe off with a rag, so we were happy with that. But this allows us to direct that silicone directly down into those back corners where we want it, and we can create a radius. Once we've got that in, we go through everything with a dentist mirror and a light, and we double check each other's work because we don't get too many shots at getting this right. So we're pretty anally retentive when it came to making sure we had this completely covered. If we had any doubts, we did another layer of it just to make sure that there was no chance that this Chockfast was going to leak again. Alright, now that we've got the core flue with a radius top and bottom made out of silicone sealant, and we are cutting it on one side so that it folds really well, like that, so that we can create a dam. Now that doesn't come all the way over here, it comes as far as the core flute dam that's on the inside, and that's so that we can then get sealant up in here and goop the crap out of it so that it doesn't leak back out. So the process when we're putting these dams in is put some sealant along the bottom edge where it's going to be sitting, anywhere that it's going to touch the metal, and then also make sure you've got it on the actual mount itself, because you need to seal the mount off because these mounts have a slight angle down at the back end of the gearbox. Once you got that done, you can fit your core flue dam and then start radiusing anywhere where there needs to be a good seal. So we're radiusing on the outside, we put plenty of silicone up on any edges or joints, and then we also try and make it a bit stronger by putting some silicone on any of the corners.
More importantly,
So far nothing in the bilge.
Claws there. Right.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Let's press on.
Sorry, I'm in the camera way here.
I'm trying to measure how much liquid we're putting in, so
Stop right there.
yeah. So we've gone from there to there, so I reckon we're about a litre at most.
So it's probably a fraction over where we'd bought Chockfast.
Yeah.
We obviously can't go over the corner there.
Down here we're using the mirror to basically have a look all the way along. Very difficult to sort of show on the camera this part, but I can't see any leaks anywhere. And it's partly why we use the coloured water, so that it's really obvious.
The red water is probably a little bit higher than we normally would, so you can see it's just come up to the corner here. I can't see that it's dropped any.
It's late. I don't know what day it is. I can't remember what day it is, but it's we're all pretty shattered and we're about to go to bed. We've been up since 7 AM. I don't know what time it is now.
And the rest.
It's
7 AM.
9 o'clock at night, something like that. And I can't really express how many hours from all of us has gone into getting these flippin' dams to not leak. So the fact that this is not leaking is bloody awful over here. We've just vacuumed out the mount. We think it's pretty close to being dry. We're just going to take these bolts that we had basically as bungs, we're going to take them out so it gets as much airflow as it can overnight. I reckon that mount's going to work.
Woohoo!
After our success with that dam over there, we're feeling pretty confident. We're going to put this one together. Probably only take us about 5-10 minutes to actually glue this one together. It's pretty fast. Then we're going to water test, and then I think we will be ready to Chockfast. Process on this mount's exactly the same. Put the silicone in, put it on every edge that the core flute is going to touch, put your core flute mould in, and then start gluing around the outside. Right, so we'll let that set. We'll let that kick for, I don't know, half an hour or so until it's like nice and crispy and sort of skinned up.
Oh, that looks good.
We've had one so far not leak and one we haven't tested, so this is the moment of truth.
That looks amazing.
You're pretty happy with that lot. It's more likely to be your end at
I can't see anything. Yeah, but all we did, I can't see anything coming out this end. There's nothing in the bilge. You got leaks or?
No. I think if you just bring it up, say 5 mil at this end.
Yeah. Okay, got a leak here.
Okay.
So we got a wee leak just there. Can't see any leaks
down there, I think we're pretty good.
That's good. I'm pretty chuffed with that. I wasn't expecting there to be 0 leaks when we did these dams. I didn't really know what to expect, but I think now, I think as a crew we're Chockfast certified now. So if you or anyone you know has been affected by a Chockfast disaster, call us.
Use the helpline Chockfast Anonymous.
If you or anyone you know
Or
has
you
been...
just need to vent.
We have a therapist on hand.
Because we don't want to take any chances with our alignment, we did another check right before we poured the Chockfast just to be absolutely certain it was perfect. For anybody that doesn't work in metric, I'm looking at you, America, and Libya, I think. We are 10 microns out of alignment. So to put that into context, that's 1/7 of a human hair, or 0.000936 of a standard banana. A centre to centre alignment is bang on. We're now going to go through and check with feeler gauges, but one thing we do have to do is smear these bolts with silicone, and we're going to feed the bolts themselves down into these holes here all the way along. And what that's going to, we're going to go one all the way down until we just touch the bed at the bottom. We're going to put a dab of silicone on the bottom as well. What that does is when we go to bolt the engine and the gearbox to the beds and everything like that, we don't have to try and drill through the impermeable Chockfast. We can pretty much unwind these bolts out, and we've got a nice hole exactly where the bolt needs to go.
You're going to use silicone?
Yeah, I'm thinking silicone. Last time we used anti-seize. It worked fine, but I don't know, we're just thinking we'll use silicone this time because it seems to work really nice on Chockfast. Guys are busy putting bolts in, measuring them up, so they're making sure that they don't wind it down hard into the steel and change the alignment by basically adjusting that mount up.
Feeling a bit watched, to be honest.
Yes. Don't wiggle the motor.
No wiggling the motor. So how many wiggles in one feeler gauge?
I think that's definitely an Australian question.
How many wiggles are in a feeler gauge?
Yeah. There's got to be a song with a friggin' red car or something to do with that, isn't there?
Yeah. Yep.
We're all set to go. Time to mix the Chockfast and start pouring these mounts.
Moment of no return.
That's right, last time you had to give it a wee bit of time to
Yeah.
return.
Gotta let the air come out.
Everyone's holding their breath.
Can feel the boat rocking.
Yeah.
It's settling it.
Didn't move it this time.
This torch is just losing its mojo.
Nothing there.
I had a wee bit of a shock moment because there's orange there, but I think it's from the other one,
Nice.
the old one.
Nice.
Old 4.
Waiting in anticipation.
Right. I'm just gonna go and get a little flame so I can pop bottles with it.
A little flame. I don't see anything this end.
No, can't see anything either.
Ooh, that's a good sign.
Right, I'll do the other side anyway.
Okay.
Alright, here we go. That lock these down.
Bubbles are popping, that's a good thing.
Anything on the bottom there, Jess?
Have to see. Just get there.
Um,
Can't see anything dribbling. Nothing here.
how's that?
Oh, hang on.
Can you see better?
The old stuff, eh?
Yes.
It looks wet. That's what's freaky.
Yeah.
Nothing so far.
No vibrant orange coming out?
Nothing running down into the bilge.
No, nothing.
Should have dyed this lot a different colour.
Yeah.
Yes, we should have.
That looks really good. Nothing so far.
We're on a winner.
Other side still up. Yes.
If I'm being optimistic, but I'm wondering if we're going to do this all with 110.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's going to go a long way, doesn't it? Yeah, there's little drips from the old stuff over here.
Oh, should we do
Can you
And they
stop
really,
doing
they
that?
really
Yes.
do look like little drips.
Please
One
use the
thing that they're not
conclusion of the
moving.
sentence first.
Okay, changing
Yes.
the order.
We're all going to need
There is
therapy.
nothing dripping new.
Reverse Polish, love it.
I'm on the front now.
Beautiful.
Okay, pouring the front.
Yeah, I was just hesitating. Yeah, we probably will need more.
Definitely gonna need it.
I think so. We're going to need stir before the.
We probably should get the cups again and do some extra.
Some cups.
You know what we wanted to do last time.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Not sure. Still be down here.
Let's go wait. I'm gonna wait for the other can.
I've seen a drop.
Yeah.
Look there.
Can I get rid of that?
I'm passing Duncan off. Look, there is a drop. Look, right there.
No, not missing off.
He's doing it just to terrify the workers.
Yes.
You know, it's an easy way to tell if it's going down is the line just changes, but it's nothing's changing. Mate.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Gonna have a quick look on the others to make sure they're okay.
Yeah, I'm doing that now.
Yeah.
Look at that. Nothing. No movement.
Is there bubbles forming on that surface?
Tiny couple. No difference. Look at that. Perfect.
So it's up on all of the sides, like halfway up. We need to add more Chockfast. The guys are quickly preparing the next can of Chockfast. So we'll lift this one up with the second can. Jess over the back with a heat gun. She's going around and taking the little bubbles that form out. So on the surface, you might be able to see there's tiny little air bubbles. See how it's popping?
We're gonna have leftovers.
We've got any Brupeg marketing material?
Would be awesome, but I don't think we have.
Quickly, print one up.
Oh. Yeah.
So beautiful. Oh, do we need to do the bubbles anymore, Jess? Or?
Keep going on back and forth.
And the more showing up.
I,
You kind of really slow. There's only just the odd one.
yeah.
Oh, good. That's a lot of sharpening.
That's awesome. So she's off to the other side.
Fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
How's the front looking? You need cupcakes? Do you do cupcakes?
Yeah, like a really.
Limited edition Brupeg engine bay baking.
We're baking with the heat gun.
The Great Brupeg Bake Off.
So the tub here, by Björk, that's $175 in there. And then the total of the cupcakes is $175. It's $175 divided by 12, that's what each cupcake is.
It's coming up lovely.
Yeah.
Not one part of it is in the build yet.
Stop saying that.
That's a much better pad. I'm so much happier with that.
Now I understand why we ran out of Chockfast on this front mount last time. It's because we tipped it all on the bilge on the back mounts.
I found the proper tool for the job.
It's so much better.
Little flame, it works so much better than the heat
See
gun.
them each one as they're popping.
Yep. Way more effective.
So it's very thick, this stuff, when you pour it. But apparently it has a lower surface tension than water. So if so a hole that water wouldn't leak out of, Chockfast will leak out of. So it gives you an idea of how hard it is to actually seal this stuff. So the water test's great, but it's still there's still a little bit of anxiety there because this stuff is more leak capable than water.
A few tiny little bubbles there.
Yeah, we'll get the gun with those.
We get one chance to make this good. Okay, so this is starting to go off. It's starting to kick. So you can see here, it's like a little bit different colour at the back here than it is at the front. The front's slightly not as shiny, but more shiny at the back. The back is liquid, the front has already kicked, so it's hard. I can put my finger on there. However, it blooming near burns you. It's that hot, like putting your finger on this stuff. So crazy how hot this gets when it starts to kick. At the back here, everything's looking pretty good. I can see it's starting to kick. It's starting to change colour at the front, and it's a little bit liquid at the back, which is sort of to be expected. So it looks like the sides that are on the mould side kick first. Maybe they can dissipate heat, I don't quite know. This side here, don't know if that's quite kicked yet, but yeah, it's still a wee bit liquid. Yep, cool.
While we were waiting for the Chockfast to dry, so that we could bolt the new engine down to the new engine mounts through the new Chockfast. Bert got stuck into an AIS antenna mount that's going to be up on our radar mast holding a new aerial. The Avengers have assembled to peel these dams off to see what we're actually working with here. Should we have a go?
Yeah, I'll start at this end.
Okay. Support down.
Support down. Oh, look at that.
It's not running away. It just looks like something edible.
Wow, amazing.
For those who enjoy licorice,
Rubbish.
this is... Boy, that's it, job done, let's go.
Wow.
She's in. So close up, you've got your Chockfast, you've got all the silicon. So we will peel all of this stuff off, but basically the Chockfast is in there and sort of holding and safe and everything.
Oh, it's still a bit sticky.
We'll get it with the scraper.
Yeah.
Hit it with
Looks
scraper.
like it didn't come off quite well, isn't it?
Yeah. You can see that there, there's like a dimple. It sort of got sucked down in there sort of thing when there's been a void or something like that. So apparently it's done on both sides, which is kind of interesting.
We did notice that in the cookies as well.
Yes. The $300 cookies. So we've got dimples, you can sort of see dimples here, but that's where the silicon was basically bulging out. So
Can we close up on
yeah. So come down there, you can sort of see there's like a void. It's not a bad thing, it's just where the silicon, you can sort of see on this here where the silicon is pushed in. It's the same over here, the silicon would have been the same over there.
Oh, that's just sliding off, lovely.
Yeah.
Is that that's not packaging, is it? That's
Silicon, yeah.
Oh, it's almost a black line along, look.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's our trademark.
Jeez, that's great, isn't it? I love the little roundness on the,
Yeah.
that was the roundness of that.
Yeah.
We planned for that.
The last one?
Right. So this one here, you've got this big back wall and you've got the front dam.
So you can see by the mount here, see where it's, and
Down
then
here.
a well in this corner. It's all symmetrical, so it's clearly something to do with the...
Should we pull the boards off and see what it looks like?
I think, yeah, why not?
Either one.
Oh,
We're going front.
that's up in there.
Actually,
Need a screwdriver?
oh sorry, I broke it.
Oh, you got it? Oh,
Lovely.
oh, look, you've got the patterning of the...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
any creases we had in the
Yeah, the tape.
sticky tape.
Tape works beautiful as
Oh,
a release agent, though.
Isn't it? Yeah. Nelly.
That is
Whoa.
sensational. That is bloody awesome.
Wow, that looks amazing.
That back one's come up really gorgeous. There's a little bit of a dimple there from like a heat mark or something. Maybe where it's set a bit faster, I don't know, but that's great. And the front is very similar.
Quite like the orange.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I wonder if that's the tape join line we had.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
Actually, I now appreciate the volume of Chockfast here.
So the front edge of this has sunk down slightly from the mould, but it's like razor sharp. So I'm going to go over the front with a flapper disc just to take that off.
Are my eyes clear? Is that bubbles or what is that in the middle?
A little bit, yeah. But it did start to set in the middle before anywhere else. So I think
that's what's happening. Yeah.
I think you're seeing the hardness sort of dimple down a bit.
It actually went off really fast.
It's probably
We've put the heat
20
on.
minutes and it was pretty warm, pretty hot setting.
I actually really like the colour, the orange with the blue
Yeah,
and the metal.
the reds and whites.
Black of the, what's this called? The
The wiring loom.
loom. Yeah, it's going to look amazing.
Yeah.
Nice.
There we go. Roll it out.
We might need to dig out the last bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been done yet.
I love that the mould was as good as it was. Like, we've got a really tidy, clean block.
Everyone watching, have you noticed he's patting it?
Yeah. This is me expressing an emotion. Good motor. Who's your good motor? Fitting an engine, you'll always get little nicks. So you can see here the paint's been nicked off this edge here, and there's some bits over here and random pieces like that all over the engine where we've nicked it when we're moving it around, because it's a fairly big chunky piece of metal to move. Now's my chance to be able to tidy it all up a little bit. Normally when I drill bigger holes like this, I love using the mag drill because it's just powers through it like butter. However, the mag drill needs a flat surface to work on, and we don't have a flat surface anywhere around here that's going to work. So we're not going to be mag drilling, we're going to be using the battery drill and a regular twist drill bit. That feels terrifying. So the next part in getting the engine bolted down is we need to drill through the mounts, the Chockfast, drill right through the beds, and we're using M18 high tensile bolts. So these are a fine thread M18, so 1.5 millimeters as opposed to 1.75, which is more common. There's 3 on each gearbox mount, and there's 2 on the front mount. So I'll just drill this shit out in the mount first. Can you push down on that? The method that we came up with to drill these mounts out was pretty straightforward. Put the 18mm drill down until we got through the Chockfast. We were touching the steel. That way we knew we had a centre point we could rely on. And from there, we just started working with pilot drills. I think we're through to the steel, aren't we?
Yep, you are.
Okay, let's put a pilot hole down there. We started with a 4mm pilot, then bumped up to around about an 8mm drill. Then we bumped it up to around about 12mm using the big drill, the torque bar on the side of the drill to hold it steady, and 2 people, one driving the drill and one pushing down, nice steady pressure. That's good. That's really good. And then when through with that drill, we bumped it straight up to the 18mm drill, where we used the same technique, nice and slow, lots of pressure, we push through the steel. And you can see here, you end up with a really crisp, beautiful cut all the way down that hole. Once we had our technique, it was rinse and repeat, but obviously a little bit faster this time. Okay, this is a captain's call, how she wants her boat set up. Okay, so the issue we have is down here on the mounts, we can drill the back one, the middle one, but we can't drill the front one easily because there's a gusset right underneath, so we can't physically get a nut on the bottom. So we have 2 thoughts. Drill a hole all the way through, and then on the bolt, cut one of the hexes off, like, if I can draw a line, cut across like that, across the hex. Put it in from the bottom and it locks up on the weld. It's not ideal, but it locks up on the weld and the gusset at the bottom. Or alternatively, have 2 bolts rather than 3 per side. 2 would be fine.
What's strong enough? You're saying 2 are enough?
Yeah. Because it's not like it's only 2 bolts holding it. You've got 6 bolts in total. We've got 2 at the back, on the left, 2 on the right, and 2 at the very front of the engine. So you've got 6 in total holding everything.
Do we have the same problem on the other side?
Yes. Yeah.
Does it hurt having the extra one?
It doesn't hurt having the extra one, but it's a pain in the ass to get it actually to fit in. That's why we're questioning, well, do we even need to go that extent?
So that's a question of time, or?
It's the difference between 6 bolts holding the engine down and 8 bolts holding the engine down in total.
Well, I always still like to have more.
I know.
So, but you don't have to do it right now. I mean, not for the trial here, right?
Probably not. No.
You're happy with 6 for the trial?
Yeah. I just wanted to know if you are. If you're not, then I'll carry on. But
any other thoughts, or you're happy with 6?
I think we don't have to do it now, but I generally prefer to have the extra.
Yeah, that's
okay.
How about you, Duncan?
I think 6 would be enough, but yeah, of course, having 2 more
Doesn't hurt, does
added,
it?
no, it doesn't hurt. But using Damien's talent here, I reckon we do it now.
Yeah, if we're going to do it, we do it now.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm for that. Yep, cool.
All right, cool.
8
Thanks.
it is.
So we're up to torquing, I guess.
Yep. Let's torque them up.
Oh, we got them.
I've got the torque wrench all set. Okay, here we go.
So So we're going with 230?
240 is the closest line I've got. Oh, I'm glad it's not 600. Alright, letting it down into rowing position.
Happy with it?
Blimey.
You broke it.
I was going to double check that. Yeah.
Ooh, nice work. Look at that.
Oh, click, click. I heard that.
This is what happens when you're just so fucking strong you can torque wrench the shit out of a bolt. Look at this. Click,
Hear that? Click, 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 click.
click.
Stroke! Come on, stroke!
Not many people know that Bert was actually a member of the German rowing team. Look, one-handed he can do it.
And if he's not, he should be.
That thing's set for 240 foot-pounds. I think we've got a sweat going.
Well, that's not true. I'm sweating, but that's not because of
Beautiful.
This front mount's proven to be a bit of a challenge because when we drill vertical here, we have to have an incredibly narrow drill to fit past all of this. And over on this side, this here is in the way of the drill. So way harder than drilling the back mounts. And also we've got a lot more thickness down here. You can see there's a lot more physical material to have to cut through. So drill height also matters a lot. So just like on the rear mounts, we had to do smaller drill building up to larger and larger drill. The only challenge difference that we had on this end is the drill bit length really mattered. And sometimes we really struggled to get a pilot hole through with the small drills because they just weren't long enough and we didn't have a long drill. One thing we had to do different was use our small DeWalt drill. That's mainly because this is the only one that would actually fit down beside the engine. So this side's a bit of a challenge to fit. So Dunk's pulled the bolts out of this plate. We're going to take this plate off. It'll give us a little bit more clearance to be able to drill on this side and hopefully enough to get the head of the drill in there.
Oh, look at that.
I think that's it.
Oh, you through?
I think so.
Huh. Yeah, might have been an angle change there.
Okay, that fits. So right now Dunk is finishing up the wiring for the keel cooling water sensors. Trev's arrived. We've managed to get both bolts in the front. We're about to torque these up. And all the noise at the back is Beck. He's getting our awesome 3/4 drive set that was donated to us, and he's bolting up the prop shaft as we speak. It goes that way. That's where I took it off.
That clean up work.
Space to put stuff on.
Yeah.
And nip. This is what 600 foot-pound looks like on a torque wrench. While I'm getting the bolts that hold the prop shaft to the gearbox torqued up, nice and tight as you can see, Trev is getting the throttle bolted to the new stainless throttle bracket. This is something that we weren't able to do until we started the engine because we couldn't remember which way the throttle went, whether it was up or down, in order to give it more throttle. So we're just about there. We've got these guys bolted and torqued. We've got a cork in our sump bung, which is a little unusual. So we put a ball valve down there a few weeks back so that we can do easy oil changes. However, it has this silly brass fitting in it, and we bumped it and it snapped off. So we're dealing with that. So we're vacuuming the oil out into an oil extractor. Burke is he's made a little, basically a steel adapter. So this thing there, so it's the original sump bung with an adapter that allows us to bolt it straight onto a 1/2 inch ball valve. Goes on like that, and he's going to weld the sump bung to the adapter so that we can screw it to the ball valve, and we've got steel all the way through it. No silly little brass bits. Dunk's hard at work, getting some more gauges connected to the wheelhouse. You just saw the bracket up the front there. Trev has hooked that up, so we've got throttle now to the engine, and I'm just about to drill the throttle out for our gear control so that we can have gear lever from the bridge as well. So once that's done, and once we've got the fitting made over here, and we flick it in there and get that sealed up, then we can start putting the oil back in, and we're good to go. So the oil that came out of there was a couple of litres lost. So Jess has lassoed most of it with a stainless stick and a whole bunch of rags so that we don't have it go in the bilge. But it's also given the bilge a nice tidy, so it's nice and clean and oily down there now. And that's how it bolts on. So it's pretty straightforward, and it allows us, I can't move it at the moment, but it allows us to basically flick it back and forth. The oil superhighway is still going. Don't know how long this is going to take with this. So Bert's going to made this thing of beauty. This is basically the old sump bung that's had a fitting put on so that we can put a 1/2 inch ball valve on, and then he's drilled all the way through it. You can see it there, so we can get oil out in the future. So that there gets a new copper washer, and that replaces the cork. Right, so we've got the broken off piece of fitting that's sitting inside that bung there that we need to get out. Now, normally you can wind things out, but in this case we've got absolutely nothing to grab onto. So we're going to use a tool called an easy out. So if you've never seen one of these, sometimes they're called screw extractors. It's basically a square drive on the top, and you've got a left hand thread on that. So as you wind this in a left hand direction, or a anti-clockwise, counterclockwise direction, eventually it will bind up and lock up on whatever you're trying to unscrew, and it will unscrew the thing that you're trying to unwind in the correct direction for the thread that's on that, if that makes sense.
A lot of engineers have a love-hate relationship with these things because they're awesome if you get the thing that you're trying to unscrew out. If you break this off in the thread, you've just created a world of problems.
Something's spinning, but I don't think I'm into it yet.
It's not the easiest to actually find.
No, it's coming out.
Does it?
Yep.
Oh, yep.
It's a fine thread, so it takes forever to actually bring this out. But
Yep.
new bung fitting going back in. New copper washer. New ball valve fitted with steel everywhere, so there's nothing to break. Now that ball valve is not straight. We can't get it any tighter. We don't want to go any tighter because we may end up snapping something off. But we can open and close it perfectly fine, doesn't hit the bottom. So time to start putting some oil back in the gearbox.
So part of our regular pre-start checks is make sure all of the bolts are tight. Now that's pretty subjective. However, every bolt that is critical on this boat is torqued up. So to make sure that the bolts haven't slipped, we have really simple ways so you can visually tell if anything has changed.
We have red marks on all of the bolts, so we can just look at the bolts and know that if they've moved. So you can see down here, every single bolt on this prop adapter, prop coupling, every engine mount, bell housing, every single bolt that matters is tight, they're torqued up, and they've got a little red mark so we know if it moves. We do our startups, we go around and check the bolts visually to make sure that nothing's moved. We also, every half an hour when we're steaming, we put someone down into the engine room, they do a walk around, they check visually that everything's all good, nothing's changed. We've also got the cameras, so we're always looking in the engine room, but you'll never see these marks on the camera. So that's why we do our half-hour checks when we're steaming, and it's just a great way to visually see, has anything altered that we need to deal with. In case you're wondering, we just use a red paint pen. So it's a permanent marker, it's basically paint, and it'll last for a long, long time. Right, just pop the 20 litres of SA30 back in, so we'll let that settle for a bit, get the dipstick in, we'll probably take that out now, get the dipstick back in there, and then figure out how much more we need to top it up. Next step, we need to give this area a blummin' good tidy up, because this is chaos. And that's pretty normal. Everybody has a hissy fit when they see this in the background, but that happens when you're doing multiple jobs and there's multiple people, and this is the only place you've got to store all of the stuff that you own in the world. It can look pretty chaotic and pretty scary, but whenever we go and do anything, like if we're starting the engine, we'll always make sure it's clean. We can walk around the engine all the way around. For example, if we're going to sea, everything is put away in its place and tied down, whatever it needs to be, so that it's good to go. We don't take dumb risks, but we're also not paranoid about having an absolutely pristine, spotless working environment. We don't need it most of the time. So we sat down for our go, no-go discussion. This gives everybody a chance to put their feedback in on their area that they were looking after. I
think we are ready to do a dock pull. I'm just gonna close the boat off so the cat doesn't run away. I'll show you what we've got. Over the back we've got a big nylon line tied to our rear bollard and obviously looped around there with a bowline. And on this side it's the other end of the same line. Big free flowing bowline going off to our rear bollard over here. That allows us to try and pull the dock away. As things are a bit of a mess on board, there's been a lot of work going on today. We've had multiple people on the boat actually helping get everything ready, but it's all been building up to this moment where we can put the boat in gear and actually start seeing some propulsion happening in the main engine. Downstairs, we've had the engine running a few times today to get everything going. Downstairs, Dunk is working on owner's manual. That can't be a good thing.
Just calibrating the oil pressure sensor. We're not getting reliable oil pressure. So I just took the lead off to measure the resistance within that. It seems reasonable at the moment.
Yeah.
The next time we start the engine, I'll just measure the resistance and check that it's going up.
All right, cool.
As oil pressure goes up.
All right, and in case you're wondering, we have our analog gauge down here, so we know we've got oil pressure. It's just the digital sensor is not reading correctly. Right, so the plan is to fire it up and put her gently into gear at idle and just get a little bit of propulsion going forward.
Okay, clear.
Clear to start. You ready for some thrust, Vic?
There. That's reverse.
Not up on the bridge, it's not apparently. How's that holding?
Okay, good so far.
Everything's looking okay up here.
Okay, back here as well. Just don't do any more than that. We're moving half of the marina here.
Holy fuck, that is awesome. Nice.
Thanks for all your help, Duncan and Trev. See you next week.